and welcome to the Soundbath channel. I'm Helane Marie Anderson of Sacral Sounds, and I'm really excited. Our guest today is Lynda Arnold, also known as Diva Sonic, is her stage name. And she is a sound healer, a multi-instrumentalist, plays a lot of different instruments, plays the flute, and she trained in classical flute and piano performance in her background, and now works as a sound healer on many collaborative projects. You can see her at a lot of festivals, at various events throughout Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and more. So I'm really excited to welcome Lynda into the studio today. Yay! So thanks, Lynda, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor.
Oh, I'm so glad. So I'd like to just start, because we were just chatting about the culture of sound healing becoming a bigger thing right now.
Yes.
And so where we think like 10 years ago, people were like, what is sound healing? Nobody really knew what it was, right? And even 5 years ago, people were like, what? You're a sound healer? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how you delved into the world of sound healing with a classical music background.
Sure.
And maybe start there and then get into the bigger culture of sound healing.
Sure. Yeah. So I studied classical music all the way through like 8 to 10 years old, through college, went to music school. Like you said in the introduction, studied flute and piano, was part of university band and ensembles and working on my skills. But when I graduated music school at that point, 22, I was just burnt out from having to this was the only thing, was like learning these really hard pieces and just other people's works. And I'd gotten to the point where it was time for me to start improvising. It was time for me to start expanding and finding like what my own sound was.
Improvisation in the classical music world.
They
were not, and
yes.
Ironically, it used to be the thing, right? Because Beethoven did,
sure.
like everybody would improvise.
Yes.
But then it sort of stopped somewhere along
That's
the
right.
way.
Like most of Bach's work, his improvisations and his church services, and someone else transcribed them even, right? So there's that whole culture. So I graduated from music school, moved to San Francisco, and then I decided to go to recording school. Pretty much right after I found a recording school up there, and it couldn't be like more opposite. Like classical music, now I'm going to go into the tech world. And so I found myself in a group of people, mostly guys, they called themselves musicians, but they were like house music DJs. They didn't really play instruments, and I felt like, wow, now I'm in this position where I want to play again, right? Because I'm like, they need some instruments on their tracks and vocals. And so I met my first co-producer through that recording school, and so many great people, and had, an incredible time, like learning the tech side of things. And then from there, I just started writing and producing, recording, performing, teaching music in San Francisco, and after about 6 or 7 years of that, I started to feel like there needs to be something more, like just something was missing, something fundamental. And even though I was happy with what I was writing and producing, my songwriting and performing, I was like, what is it? There's something. And I found a program up there. Sylvia Nakach is a teacher of sound, voice, music healing at the California Institute of Integral Studies. The public program, I took that, 200 hours, kind of like a yoga training. But she brought in all these teachers from around the country, the world even, to teach different aspects of sound healing. What is it? We sang in the style of raga and toning and vocal toning and chanting. I learned about tuning forks, learned about drumming, meditation, improvisation from David Darling even. Like she brought him in. It was the most magical year, and it was almost like, oh, okay, now I can't, there's no going back. So there's like a point in 2010 where it's like I studied sound healing, and it really was the piece that was missing for me.
Was it the intention behind the sound healing, or was it just the freedom?
The freedom, the feeling of the devotional piece, being devoted to listening, being devoted to the sound that you're making, whether it's from your voice or an instrument, and being connected to that. That you're part of the sound, and learning about how, the concepts in sound healing, we are all vibration and 80% water and all these really fun things that you learn about our biology and our physics, and and how these all mesh together to inform sound as a vehicle for transformation and change and shifting. So from there, it was like, okay, well, I was still doing musical projects with people, experimental piano music and electronic music and things. But I had started to do private sessions for people, study Tibetan bowl healing, and started to do sound baths up in San Francisco. And then it wasn't until I moved down to LA 5 years ago that I really started to pursue it more aggressively, just in terms of like, okay, well, I just moved to LA. I don't know anyone. And even though I have a lifetime of music making and a catalog of music, I need to start meeting people. And the best thing that I did was just to really go into the wellness community and to offer sound baths and to really start to practice all the things that I'd cultivated and learned, and read. I read a lot of books in the beginning and just amassed the information that I thought I wanted to use in my own practice and my own workshops and start to teach and put through the sounds.
So in terms of meditation, right? Like, because there are a lot of concepts with meditation, that meditation means you have to sit for a certain amount of time every day, and it's very regimented. And then there are other schools of meditation where it's a way of life. And so what is your relationship with meditation, and how does that translate to how you work with sound?
Wow. Well, I think when I play, I'm in that space. That the space of I am in the moment. I'm always bringing myself back to what I'm doing, because even when I'm playing at this point, like the mind starts to wander. It goes here, it goes there. I'm playing Tibetan bowls. They're meant to be played slowly. So then the mind is like, okay, you're still, it's like when you're driving and you like, oh yeah, I'm still driving, right? Whoa, I'm glad I didn't get into an accident. It's the same. So I'm playing Tibetan bowls and I have to bring myself back. Okay, what do I want to do next? I'm here making the sound. What do I want to say next? What kind of feeling am I bringing through the sounds? So that's a meditation to me. Do I meditate in silence? I do. I think sometimes there's so much sensory overload with myself as a freelance person, always on the internet, social media marketing, on the phone, talking to people, dealing with my daughter. And so I just need more silence these days. So I tend not to meditate to other music per se or sound when I'm meditating, because even if it's 10 to 15 minutes, I just need nothing, just silence, just the nature of the birds outside my studio.
But wouldn't you say that silence is also part of the music ultimately?
Well, sure. Yes. Yeah. So nothing, no sound that I'm bringing into the space, just what's there.
Right.
And just noticing that. Yes. There's plenty going on. Yeah.
So just to follow up on the beginning, when we talked about the culture of sound healing, right? I mean, I think if you look even in Los Angeles, that we have a lot of sound baths in Los Angeles right now, right?
Yes.
And 5 years ago, there weren't that many. And now it feels like they're happening everywhere in the culture of sound.
Yep.
So I wonder if you can just talk a little bit to that about the benefits of sound healing becoming a more acceptable way for people to spend their Friday, Saturday evening, or whatever evening of the week.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's a good thing that there is a culture being created around listening. Spend so many years in clubs or different performance situations just trying to perform my heartfelt music that meant so much to me. And there's talking, there's people aren't paying attention. There's all this stuff. Because people come to a bar club on the sort of that underground level, and they're just not. There's no culture of listening. You're like, there's somebody in front of you that's emoting, that's giving something, and it could be just background, So they're at the extreme end of things. There is that, and so I experienced a lot of that. But now with the sound healing. We have all these yoga studios and places that are just empty spaces that people can come into. They're coming into for their yoga practice, or other things. And now we have these spaces available for people to come in and listen to sound, right? So what an amazing culture and art, that is developing, where people come, they lay down and they close their eyes and they listen to sound for the purpose of meditation and for relaxation. And there's a certain flow and pace and tempo to what we do, you know, but just the fact that people are laying down and listening to every single sound is such a gift. It's not only for us, but for them. So that exchange of, I'm going to play for you for the purpose of you to really listen and go deep inside yourself. And it's beautiful.
So do you feel like in the same way that when you brought up yoga, right? Because 30 years ago, I mean, yoga wasn't what it is today.
Yes.
Where there's yoga everywhere, in every city, in every place in the country. You can usually find a yoga teacher, right? And do you foresee the same thing for sound?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's so many people that are just so excited about it. You know, they're getting into, wow, I can be kind of a musician, right? Because there's the stigma around, I have to learn piano or guitar and I have to study for many, many years, like to play sound for people's enjoyment, right? And what's great about sound healing is that there's all these instruments that are really cool and interesting. Some are from different cultures, and we can mix all these sounds together that are not really hard to learn or play, you know, for the most part. There is some training involved, of course, but people can enter in and for their own, not even just to do it for a living or as their vocation, but also to just for themselves to enjoy playing, you know, and that's really, really important. And I think what we, you know, need to see more is people coming in that have like different musical talents, instrument, and abilities that are creating an art form around their unique viewpoint. You know, and then you have, it's almost like jazz. I kind of like think about it how jazz, there's all these different genres of jazz and approaches and colors and textures. And I feel like, you know, sound healing is, or sound meditation work is like that. It has the potential to be that, you know, with the right culture of people helping to build it.
For sure.
Which I think we have in LA. I mean, I really do. I think we have some really unique people devoted to spreading it and growing it and just like taking care of it.
Well, and I know like you and I have the similar background of having the classical music thing, and I've been to your sound baths, we've collaborated, and the idea of your approach also, like how do you feel like having your background as a classical musician affects your approach to how you do your sound meditations?
Oh, it totally informs it. And but sometimes it's not always good. It's like, because you want to play a lot of notes, you know what I mean? And you're just like, you're so used to playing, you know, well, there's a noodle over here, a noodle over there. And so what's great is that, at least for me, is to slow myself down, and that less is more. And sometimes, you know, I get into my melodic world, and that's okay, because people will go on that journey with me. But, to elongate things and to, you know, just get into, I'm trying to think of a classical piece that I could connect to that pacing to. Like we've talked about Debussy's Sunken Cathedral on piano, and how the chords, there's grand chords and it's all very slow. To me, that's the pacing of sound meditation. You know, it's like you're relishing in each moment, you know. And so, yeah, I think there was an unlearning when I graduated from classical music school. It was like when I first started improvising flute with house music DJs, I was just like, you know, they would say, Lynda, go take a break, you know, have another beer, sit down over there. In fact, I would drink a bunch, you know, and then I'd be like, I'd just try to play again. And then after about 6 to 8 months, you know, a friend that would come around, he's like, you know, Lynda, you're getting a lot better. And this is after playing, you know, 14, 15 years playing my instrument, but it was almost like improvisationally, you start over.
Yeah, you do.
And so with the sound healing work, it's not starting over as much as it is, okay, this is a different aesthetic.
Right.
And it's to the purpose of, you want people to, you know, people have deep healings and sound healings. They have emotional releases. They have physical pain releases. They get rest. I mean, sometimes people lay down, they need sleep so bad. They're asleep within the first 5 minutes. I mean, they missed the whole thing, you know, but they needed sleep. So you create this environment where all of that can happen. And it's almost as if people are discovering a space. It's like, oh, I actually didn't know this existed, but I really need this. And then, you know, I need to be able to find somewhere where I can feel safe and listen and know that I'm being taken care of by just listening to sound. It's really fascinating.
Beautiful
place to be working in. Yeah.
And as we come to a close, I'd just like you to touch on, you do a number of collaborative projects. You have your Solar Theory project, you've developed the Sonic Devas now, and I wonder if you could just say something about your intentions with collaboration within the sound healing space.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, I've always collaborated with people, either like one other producer or a group. My Divasonic project, which has taken on many forms from band to solo. At one point I had 8 people playing my Divasonic music and my band, and I don't know, I just love collaboration. Is, you know, you're taking 2 or more people and you're putting your heads together to make something that you couldn't make by yourself.
Right.
And I think I'm seeing just a lot of people, you know, doing their own thing by themselves, and that's beautiful. But there's something to be said for, like, not just collaborating with somebody once and being like, oh, that was fun, but really digging in with a group of people or one person and being able to really dig deep and see what's there and create magic, you know, whether it's songwriting, like I do with Torquem, with Solar Theory, or with Sonic Devas, you know, bringing together 10 to 14 women and singing together in harmony. And when we do that, even in the rehearsals, you know, it's like we create this tribe, we create this exchange, you know, of information with our work, so that we can just all become better, you know, and so, I want to work on a solo Divasonic record, but I'm always like, but collaborations are more fun. Yeah. and why I want to be in the studio by myself when I can, you know, be with my friends, you know? And so there's always that little dance that I do. But over the years, when I look at my catalog, I'm just so grateful for all those different chapters, you know, that, and that things they keep evolving because of bringing together the different talents of people.
Well, they all come together anyway. It's part of the bigger structure of your output in the world, right? And they all inform each other and grow upon each other.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I've been inspired to be part of the Sonic Devas project and everything too. So, like, really, thank you for all the work you're doing in the world. You know?
It's amazing. It's a miracle. The Devas it's a miracle. I thought I wouldn't do it past Shakti Bhakti Fest, and I was listening. I was very scared to listen to the voice that said, no, you're gonna have to do it in LA now. And I said, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? And before last November's show, I felt like my insides were completely being rearranged to be able to open up that vortex for that to occur. And that's how I know that it was like there's something that it was like, I don't know, it's like the pinnacle of what I brought into the world so far with sound and music, and it's really special. So I'm having you a part of it, of course, is amazing, and you bring a lot, and it's just the beginning, really. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. And you can check out all of Lynda's information below and check on her website, look up all of her upcoming events, all the next Sonic Devas concerts and that. And
we have a website now, sonicdevas.com.
Sonicdevas.com. So you can check it all out there, and you can check her out at Divasonic, and all that info is below. So thank you so much for being here today, Lynda. Really happy to have you.
All right.
And this is the Soundbath channel, and thank you, and see you next time.